In this series, we will be reading the lore text about the Age of Sigmar, the setting from the Soulbound RPG Corebook. This episode covers the overviews of the last three realms, Hysh, Shyish, and Ulgu, as well as the realm of chaos. Hysh, the realm of light. Hysh is the dazzling sun of all other realms, save its shadowy twin, Ulgu, for their swirling dance effectively creates night and day for all mortal realms save Azir. The light of Hysh is the illumination of both the realms and the spirit. It is a realm of swift, clear thought and inspiration, yet its purity can sear the mind to ash if gazed upon too long. The 10 paradises of Hysh were once each lands of pristine beauty, where symbolism and reality would intersect, reason and symmetry in seemingly flawless balance. Perfection is a fleeting illusion. In the Age of Myth, the Elven gods Tyrion and Teclis awoke in Hysh. They found it beautiful beyond words, but lonely, for they journeyed long and found none, till mighty Sigmar happened upon them as he wandered the realms. Together, they helped found the pantheon of order, but sorrow was ever in the twin gods' hearts, for though a few elves dwelled in Azir, most of their people seemed lost. Eventually, chance led them to Malarian and Morathi, and the 4 elven deities managed the impossible, trapping Slaanesh in the Ulglish, the hidden gloaming betwixt Ulgu and Hysh. From the imprisoned chaos god, they extracted the elven souls that the pleasure god had greedily consumed after the end of the world that was. The first elven souls they pulled from Slaanesh were called the Sithai, but they were flawed. Teclis built the radiant city of Laeriu, intended as a place of reflection and healing, to comfort the Sithai, but they became withdrawn, carrying shadows within them that even Teclis could not penetrate. When he weaved spells to cure them of their growing darkness, it killed some and drove others mad. The Sithai fled, becoming the first of the Idoneth Deepkin. Many years and greater understanding of the process eventually led to the most stable of all the elven folk retrieved from Slaanesh, the Lumineth. The elven Lumineth were a people of great refinement and advanced culture. They built 9 great nations, each a hub of civilization, art, and scholarship, filling all the 10 paradises save scintillant Haxaya, whose glaring perfection mortal minds were not meant to endure. In central Sintil alone did any humans found settlements and cities within Hysh. The Lumineth set about improving themselves, climbing the metaphoric ladder of a series of increasingly more difficult knowledge and spiritual tests of insight called the Teclamentari. Each Lumineth strived to better themselves and outpace their rivals with the most interesting new ideas, new works of art, new mystic insights. The secrets of Ether Quartz, the realm stone of Hysh, were revealed to them by Teclis, and they found that they could absorb the energies of Hysh while purging themselves of lesser emotions, making them increasingly swifter of thought and action, beyond their former mortal limits. They built contemplative towers in which to perfect themselves, dazzling white towers that grew ever higher. The natural competition between various luminaries and mystics turned rivalrous, growing progressively darker. Even bound, Slaanesh could still whisper to them, and so he did. Whispers became slanders, slanders became outright attacks, and in a shockingly short time, all of the great nations fell into darkness. Spells never meant to be used were unleashed. The landscape of Hysh itself was tortured and broken. Demons poured through the cracks the Lumineth carved into their realm. Okari Dara, they call it, the Spireful. The twin gods saved their people and their realm, but it has taken centuries. Tyrion organized them even as Teclis walked far in spirit, searching for some way to save the Lumineth. He found it in the embodied spirit of Selenar, the glorious moon of Hysh. Teclis managed to commune with its spirit, an Aelmentor, and brought it, along with its wisdom, back to Hysh. Teclis taught the repentant Lumineth how to contact the spirits of Hysh itself, its mountains, its rivers, its winds, its very sky, and to enter into spiritual pacts with them, learning their wisdom. Those that dedicated their lives to the Aelmentors of Hysh became the Aelmentiri, gaining great wisdom and supernatural abilities in the process. This was the reinvention, which saved the Lumineth and Hysh both. Now the spirits of Hysh itself fight in embodied physical forms alongside the Lumineth when they go to war. The great nations endure still, but even now continue the great reclamation of Hysh from the demons and the followers of the Chaos Gods that still fight across large portions of the 10 Paradises. The famed port city of Tor Zillion of the Zatrek, a nation of exceedingly powerful mystics, stands broken but defiant, still besieged by a massive army of chaos warriors. The artisans of Syar are second to none in all the mortal realms, capable of making magical trinkets of dazzling beauty and staggering power. And trade pioneers desperately search for safe routes to its wondrous markets. The Aelmentiri of mountainous Yametrica are warriors without peer, hard as the mountains spirits they deeply revere. And it is said there is never a time now when forces of Yametricans aren't fighting somewhere in the mortal realms. Embroiled as they were with the many battles across their realm, the twin gods could do nothing to help stop Nagash's necroquake, though by signs and portents in Hysh, Teclis knew it was coming. Instead of sending troops, Teclis built special towers of ether quartz that would help mitigate its damage. Even so, the dead rose across the 10 Paradises, and only by the unity that they had achieved since the reinvention did the Lumineth survive. The Arcanum Optimar has struck Hysh particularly hard, for while it has increased the Lumineth's already phenomenal magical abilities, it has also unleashed countless predatory spells of terrifying power to roam the great nations. The Lumineth now use grand rituals to brand mile-long symbols into their realm, securing lands that were crumbling due to the damage originally caused during the Spire Fall, now amplified by the necroquake. The light of Hysh burns on, and Teclis intends that it will soon burn elsewhere. Despite what others may say or do, no matter the cost. Shyish, the realm of death. Shyish, the realm of death, is a land of endings and silent decline, where the dead far outnumber the living. Shyish defies comprehension, for even knowledge has its ending there. If Azir is the stars overhead, then Shyish is the tombs underfoot. The underworlds of Shyish were once nearly without number, each containing an untold number of souls. They were varied as Chamon's landscapes, but each was unique. Some the size of a single grave, others with landmasses equal to any in Akshi or Jiren. No more, for dread Nagash intends to consume all. Long ago, Shyish's underworlds were vibrant, each having its own gods and culture of spirits. During the Age of Myth, many were joined by the living, who raised their own kingdoms amidst the lands of the dead. This was a harmonious time before the Undying King changed the realm irrevocably. Not long after being awakened, Nagash set about his conquest of Shyish. Intent on becoming death itself, he slew many of the realm's lesser gods, consuming them in order to increase his own power. Some he imprisoned within the lowest levels of the underworlds he controlled, trapping them in his great oubliette, so that he could slowly drain off their power at his leisure. Some of the worshippers of the lost gods believe that their deity escaped Nagash's hunger. But if so, they remain hidden. Nagash's actions warped Shyish's very essence, slowly but inexorably bending its energies towards him. Even so, new underworlds spring into being with unceasing regularity, and new gods with them. Belief is a fluid thing. The least deviation from or misunderstanding of ancient cultural practices can result in a new land crystallizing at the realm's edge, populated by those who believed in it. Despite this, Nagash persists in his efforts to make the very essence of Shyish his to command. Long ago, he enacted a terrible plan, millennia in the making, and it was not stopped, merely slowed, by the coming of chaos. Nurgle came to Shyish seeking power over the cycles of life and death, even as Khorne sought eternal battles with dead heroes. Both were continually thwarted in their aims by Nagash's undead forces and the nature of Shyish itself. During the long years of chaos, reign in the prime innerlands of Shyish, and several seeming defeats, Nagash persevered. In secret, his servants finished constructing the greatest of his black pyramids at the very heart of the realm of death. Malign portents flew on black wings from the Shyishan realm sphere, carrying the dolorous echoes of the pyramid's impending completion to every realm. But too late. Even as Sigmar's tempest swept back the tides of chaos, Nagash enacted a powerful ritual that threatened to shake Shyish apart. The monstrous pulse of this great work was felt in High Azir, and even the realm of chaos itself. In every realm, the dead awoke, crying out in fear and madness. The ritual did not go as Nagash intended, perverted by a touch of chaos introduced by the Skaven, or perhaps by the Changer of the Ways. Still, the necroquake reshaped Shyish into something far more to Nagash's liking. The etheric reverberations warped the spiritual landscape, and the energies of the realm reversed, drawing inwards towards the new core, the Shyish Nadir, instead of pushing outwards, as they had since the dawn of its creation. This spiritual abyss claws at every underworld and spirit in Shyish, dragging them down. Lesser underworlds crumble away to nothing, while larger ones maintain their coherency, if only barely. All are drawn towards the Nadir as it swells in size and potency, and Nagash's strength swells with it. The war against chaos continues, as does the struggle against all the living. For Nagash Imagines, the mortal realms covered in a single vast necrotopia that is his alone to rule, where not even a mote of dust falls without his command, a nightmare for the chaos gods who thrive on mortal passions. Long before the coming of chaos, he ordered his Mortarchs, the Death Lords that serve his will, to establish their own kingdoms and to look beyond Shyish in preparation for future conquests. Neferata, the Mortarch of Blood, first of the Soulblight vampires, rules Neferatia, her self-named country. The reach of her influence extends beyond Nolamia, her capital city, and her seductive servants stretch into nearly every realm. The massive empire claimed by the Ossiarch Bone Reapers of Orphean Catacros, Mortarch of the Necropolis, grows with every passing day. Manfred von Karstein, Mortarch of Night, abandoned his great city of Karstinia, realizing it was but a hollow echo of his lands in the world that was. Despising himself, hating the living, but also Nagash, whose chains he seeks to shake, Manfred now roams Shyish, slaughtering as the mood takes him. Within the prime innerlands, war rages since the advent of chaos. In the kingdom of Halost, the land of dead heroes, the forces of chaos and Nagash are continually turned back, as they face an army of foes each worth 100 warriors or more. But there's trouble within the ranks, for the worthies of Halost discovered that the Storm King stole some of their best to become Stormcast Eternals, and a few now name Sigmar the Betrayer. The land of Lyria sits on the edge of the Ossiarch Bone Reaper's conquests, held back by the Azerite Council of Glimsforge. The Zerk, Lyria's original nomadic people, try to ignore the war in their midst, continuing to trundle from the crippled coast to Satyr's End, as they have done for centuries. In the city of Kulgast, the merchant princes of the Obsidian Conclave scheme to tighten their control over the brisk Lethwyn trade. Profit is their only motivation, leading to many trading consortiums out to exploit the burgeoning desire for shade glass and other Shyishan artifacts. Expeditions regularly set out from Kulgast, seeking to plunder the ruins of Shadespire to the south, and what's left of the legendary Amethyst princedoms to the west. Few ever return. Folks do not rest easy here. Outnumbered by the dead, even in the prime innerlands, the mortals who reside in Shyish face threats from all sides. Death-rattle kingdoms rise among the ruined cities that they ruled in life, occasionally marching out against foes, both real and imagined. Shoals of malign spirits drift across the realm in ever-increasing numbers, swallowing isolated towns and villages, and even besieging cities. The cannibalistic mordant clans swell in strength, glutting themselves on war's debris. Covens of soul-blight vampires infiltrate the human cities, insinuating themselves among the gentry. Warlords and beast kings assail the fiefdoms of the living and the dead in the name of the dark powers. Countless warbands scour the realm, seeking ancient treasures and fresh combat amidst the necropoli. With every passing day, the Shyish nadir pulls more into its deadly grasp. Those who fight to keep faith and hope alive pit their wills against beings who would see death conquer all. In the realm of death, only those who embrace a defiant life have any chance at victory. Ulgu, the realm of shadow. Ulgu, the realm of shadow, is a place of secrets and lies, where the laws of logic hold little sway. Ulgu has many names, all of them false, for its true name defies pronunciation, save when the speaker is in shadow and whispers, but even that is suspect. Ulgu is said by darkling scholars to merely be a corruption of an ancient Elven term for falsehood. Regardless, certain truths about the realm are known. The Grey Realm is locked in a parallel orbit with its sister realm, Hysh. As a result, neither has night nor day. In Ulgu, there is only an oppressive, omnipresent gloom, riven by deep oceans of shadow or pallid swathes of gray half-light. It is broken up into 13 distinct regions, known as the 13 Dominions, each shrouded in its share of mist, illusion, and bidding menace. In the Age of Myth, Ulgu was said to be a home of philosophers and dreamers, a sanctuary for those seeking a softer existence than in other realms, such as Gur or Akshi. Those days ended with the coming of chaos. Ulgu is now the graveyard of armies, the scars of battle mark each of the 13 dominions. The Cathrar duel, the War of Shadows, is the terrible guerrilla conflict between the daughters of Cain and the followers of Slaanesh, who have come to Ulgu following their missing god's spoor. It has never abated. The 13 dominions remain independent and have never been permanently united. Each boasts a multitude of competing kingdoms. Webs of intrigue and political manipulation bind these principalities to one another, as scheming kings and cunning viziers vie for supremacy, even as they marshal their forces against invaders. Much of this is due to the wills of Malarian and Morathi. Secrets, conspiracies, and lies are as meat and drink to the Shadow King, who thrives on the quarrels of the 13 dominions. Nor does the god of Shadow's mother, the formidable High Oracle of Cain, desire any power but hers to dominate within the realm of shadow, and little occurs in Ulgu without her knowledge or consent. While humans have the largest population, it is the elves who hold the true power. In the Umbral Vale, Ulgu's darkest region, Morathi set her first and greatest temple city, Hagnar. From the shadows of Hagnar and Moratha's endless ambitions, the daughters of Cain were born. Lithe and cruel, this ancient blood cult has spread far from the mists of Ulgu since its creation, and every kingdom of the Grey Realm boasts several Cainite temples dedicated to different sects of the god of murder. The Cainites, though, are not the only elves in Ulgu. Within the inky seas of Ulgu lurk the dread Morladrin, one of the grimmest enclaves of the Idoneth Deepkin. The human kingdoms of the realm are as varied as half-remembered dreams, but most are treacherous places, with swiftly changing rulers due to rampant assassination. Misthaven, the so-called City of Scoundrels, is one of the most unusual of Sigmar's free cities. A port city formed by a massive collection of ships moored to the shores of Cape Tenebrax. The city can be moved across the penumbral sea, or even broken up into its composite ships as necessary. The city is divided into armadas, many of which are commanded by cunning admirals or scourge privateer fleetmasters. Every form of illicit or contraband goods, from the darkest of illusory magics to narcotics to stolen chaos weapons, are said to trade hands in this den of vipers. City natives pride themselves on their dubious reputation, and all but openly mock the decrees of Azir. With the thinning of the gloom, when Hysh is in ascendance, and the routes into Ulgu are clear, armies of those enslaved by the dark gods hurl themselves into Ulgu in ever-increasing numbers. The servants of the absent pleasure god desperately search for any trace of their missing deity. Vast numbers disappear amidst the shadowed canyons, never to be seen again. Only the echoes of their screams remain. The convoluted tangle of 13 Dominions politics is near irresistible to the changer of the ways and his cunning followers. The Tzeentch convocations of the host duplicitous and the Grand Cabal are said to have made a grand wager over how many kingdoms they can each destabilize. Within the darkness of the hushed hills, a huge empire of bad-snatchers, spider-worshipping grots, follow the arrogant Ogwats to magnificent. The bad-snatchers make a point of stealing whatever each of their enemies values most: lands, treasures, or even people. The Skaven are also in evidence, though mostly as an unseen rumor, for it is the stealthy clan Eshin who dwell here. Tales of shade-scuttling hordes and black-clad assassin rats abound on the coasts of the Penumbral Sea and the Achen princedoms. In Duskwall City, a bounty on Skaven tales was declared after one of its most prominent merchant princes was found in his bedchamber, partially devoured by vermin. The effects of the necroquake have done little to abate the Cathrar duel. They've only caused hordes of ethereal undead to join in the constant frays. Despite Ulgu's dangers, many believe the risks are worth the rewards. The secrets of the Grey Realm are greatly desired by mages and scholars, especially those of the Collegiate Arcane, and numerous exploratory expeditions have been sponsored. Other excursions are said to be funded by Azirheims and Hammer Hall's noble Elven families to find their lost kin, rumored to be hidden somewhere in Ulgu. Most of these expeditions have failed, but scant few have returned to report as much. Of those who have survived, many claim that they were stalked and stymied even before they reached their destination. Even with the coming of Sigmar's Tempest, Ulgu has changed little. Its borders remain as obscure as ever, and few can say what goes on there. not even those who call it home. The realm of chaos. Beyond the 8 mortal realms exists the realm of chaos, an infernal plane of demons and dark gods. It is from this vast hellscape that the hordes of chaos draw their strength and lay siege to the other realms. The fell magic that empowers chaos sorcerers and witches has its beginnings here. The abhorrent mutations that afflict those corrupted by chaos are manifestations of the malign power that saturates this realm. It is a place where all that is mortal is transformed, reshaped in body, mind, and soul by the ruinous powers. A domain where demons can take form and persist without the limitations of host bodies, sacrifices, and arcane rituals. Here is an existence where the most terrible nightmares are given shape and form. Within the realm of chaos, each of the dark gods has their dominion. By far the largest is that claimed by the blood god Khorne. His lands are a vast blood-soaked battlefield of brass and bone. Bands of mortals and packs of demons wage ceaseless battle across this infernal land, their bloodlust celebrating Khorne's might. Here, in this land of war and slaughter, the brass citadel rises, standing at the center of the blood god's domain. This towering fortress is vast beyond measure, its highest towers reaching beyond the sky. The skull throne of Khorne stands at the core of the brass citadel, a colossal seat of brass that rests upon an ever-growing mountain of skulls. The Garden of Nurgle is the domain of the Plaguefather. It is a diseased land filled with stagnant swamps, fetid jungles, and lakes of pus. Each part of the garden is carefully tended by demonic plague-bearers, cultivating the raw materials from which Nurgle will brew new diseases. There are many corrupted realm gates within the garden, dotting the pestilential landscape, each portal allowing Nurgle's infections to spread into the mortal realms. Many of these link the realm of chaos to Jiren, the realm Nurgle covets the most. The Garden of Nurgle is frequently beset by incursions from the crystal labyrinth of Tzeentch. Spikes from the labyrinth penetrate the garden and crystallize its surroundings. Nurgle's plague legions fend off these invasions, driving back the Tzeentchian demons. But such victories are only temporary, and another intrusion soon manifests. The 8 points. At the center of the cosmos stands the heavily fortified subrealm known as the 8 points, a nexus of gateways that once connected to each of the mortal realms. From the 8 points, Archaon, the ever-chosen, supreme marshal of the armies of chaos, makes his war upon all. Long ago, it was known as the All Points, a massive hub of trade and civilization, which was eagerly visited by travelers from every realm. Now, it is a twisted, broken place, utterly corrupted by the power of the dark gods. The formerly beautiful lands of the All Points are a horror to behold, filled with beasts warped with the raw power of chaos, and bloodthirsty bands of killers who seek to slaughter all. Bastions for what passes as civilization exist within the 8 points, however. None but the most demented of butchers wishes to spend time on the broken streets of Karngrad or Fleyhaunt. Worst of all is Archaon's stronghold, the Varanspire. a fortress dwarfed only by the keep of the blood god. The Varanspire is a colossal bastion of spiked walls, towers, and impenetrable keeps. An open portal to the realm of chaos ripples through the sky above the Varanspire, and its interior does not conform to the laws of the mortal realms. Here, the foremost warriors of the dark gods rally to the three-eyed king's banner, and here are quartered Archeon's infamous Varangard, most feared of all the warriors of chaos. The 8 points no longer connects through its 8 archway portals to all the mortal realms. For Sigmar has ever held the road to Azir closed. The gates to Akshi and Jiren both were sealed at great cost during the Realmgate Wars. And the Gyrish Gate, held within the maw of the roving god-beast Fangathrak, is out of Archeon's control. Since the coming of the Necroquake, Nagash and his Mortarch Katakros have turned covetous eyes upon the 8 points. For just as Archeon knew long ago, Katakros understands that seizing the 8 points is a key stepping stone to controlling all the mortal realms. Tzeentch, the Changer of Ways, has turned his domain into an ever-changing land of mutation and madness. Mountains rise and collapse, rivers become plumes of feathered rock, sound becomes liquid, and light shifts into odor. Nothing exists with permanence in Tzeentch's domain. Even time unfolds with capricious randomness. One feature is endowed with more longevity than anything else: the Crystal Labyrinth. It is here, in this endless maze, that Tzeentch plots his conspiracies and manipulates both mortals and gods. The labyrinth is always changing, sometimes appearing as a megalopolis of glass towers, crystal monoliths, and diamond bastions. At others, it is a great jungle of ruby trees and gilded lakes. Only the essence of the place remains constant, for it is one with the great mutator. Slaanesh's realm is divided into 6 domains, each of which was crafted to tempt mortals to their doom, with ways as varied as there are sins. At the heart of the realm lies Slaanesh's pleasure palace, at the center of which rises a sumptuously gilded and empty throne. Slaanesh's demonic followers have broken into many factions in his absence. Some would take his place, some seek him out, and some merely await his return. But all remain impossibly seductive and equally deadly. The horned rat, too, has its stronghold in the realm of chaos. Blight City is an enormous metropolis infested by the verminous Skaven. Some say it was wrenched whole from the destruction of the world that was, and placed within the realm of chaos, not that the Skaven care from whence it came. Straddling realities, Blight City makes it possible for the Skaven to create gnawholes into the mortal realms to spread their pestiferous species. A second great civil war amidst the Ratmen is said to be imminent. For the clans Scryer and Pestilens each seek to lead the Skaven into a new era of magical possibilities made possible by the Necroquake. Between the greater domains exist blighted wastelands of darkness and horror in an infinite variety of forms. In these forgotten places lurk the lowest of the demons, manifestations of chaos itself, unaligned to any of the dark gods, terrible to behold. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this audio journey into the world of the Age of Sigmar. In our next episode, we will continue on to organizations and factions,